Welcome to our crib, or whatever you want to call this. Steve's struggling. Did you get it on video at least? Perfect. All right, so we're gonna give you a full showdown of what's going on in the shop right now. There's a lot going on. Yeah, it's over the top. First off, behind me, all-wheel drive trophy truck. Doesn't really look like much of a trophy truck right now. If you walk in, you can see we steelated the whole thing. So we tore every single part off of it, and then sandblasted it, and then painted it with Steel It, which if you don't know what Steel It is, it's a really cool paint that's actually weldable. But big thing for us in the trophy trucks and off-road stuff is we get a lot of cracks. I hate to break it to you, these things, all the stress bouncing through the road, I know they look good, but they still crack a ton. And if you use powder coat or even other types of paint, you can't see the cracks. Steel It, you're able to see the cracks, which is super beneficial for us, and then able to kind of touch up. But as you can see, I'll kind of walk you around what a trophy truck looks like and there's parts everywhere, because normally we don't tear the truck down this much. So we have kind of just piles, because the shop's not designed to have every part off of it. But standing right here, front diff. I know a lot of people have always wondered, but this is a Mason front diff and transfer case. Pretty, you know, pretty cool. Fully custom, whatnot. But yeah, that sits up front here. And then as you walk around, you can see mounted our rigid lights already. We're just starting our reassembly. Kind of got the cool things on. Rigid lights. We have our Optima batteries. A lot of people always, you know, do you actually run Optimas? Here you go. 2 blue tops under the passenger seat. Yeah, pretty standard. And then as you kind of see, every cart's kind of lined with different stuff, but show you some of the different components, just show you how big everything is. Brake pedal, all kinds of Motec PDM stuff. Very complicated. Just piles and piles of wiring harnesses, hoses, Brembo brakes. As you move back here, you can see, this is our tranny. Doesn't look like your standard tranny, I guess. Well, in some ways it does, but this is a Mason-matic, what they call it. It's a 5-speed. It is kind of a automatic in a way. It's like it's just like a Turbo 400, but a lot larger, and I can tell you it costs a lot more, but it's huge, it's heavy. Like a Turbo 400, I've watched Jimmy pick up 1 guy, 2 guys. This is at least 3, 4 guys to get in the back of a truck. It's super big, heavy, but it's pretty sick. No lift shift. There's a lot of cool features about it, but yeah, we'll take you around. But basically, this is what a trophy truck, yeah, you guys already know a lot of this stuff, but if you've watched, but it's kind of cool to see it all torn apart. Like, I think a lot of people don't realize, these are our axles. I'm not a tiny guy, but I'm not a big, it's pretty big. Like, all right, then, yeah, we'll kind of just loop around. Like I said, just chaos kind of everywhere. So then we have our fuel cell right here. Kind of cool to see it outside, show you how big it is, this actually. All carbon fiber. A lot of people are like, well, why a carbon fiber? How's that protected? But it's actually super good. It does have a bladder inside, so the carbon's not what's holding the actual fuel. But it's like 110 gallons, 108 gallons, I think. Then you can kind of just walk, as we go through just all the different parts, carbon fiber. Then you can look up on the shelves here, we got all the carbon fiber panels, kind of all that stuff. But that's a little bit of what's going on with the trophy truck. We're like 5-6 weeks away from having to race, I think. And this is what it looks like. So, you know, for the next couple of weeks, these guys are gonna be thrashing, putting this thing back together. But it's just like a giant puzzle. This is our first time ever taking the all-wheel drive down completely, so I think they're learning a lot, and you know, it's been good. We're changing a lot of little things that makes Jimmy's life better, makes my life more comfortable, like changing my seating, and just little things that we've had kind of on our list, but we have never had time. Now we have time in this off season. So as you can see, one cool thing like we've been loving about the lever racks is we're able to kind of just pile in like a lot of parts that usually would clutter and, you know, hide them away. But everything's still pretty messy. We're not fully moved in. All right, now let's go show you why you probably clicked on this video. We're Megazilla swapping my luxury PreRunner. I think it's gonna be one of the coolest PreRunners around now. So let's go check that. I will note we had no plans of doing it in this. We knew we were gonna do it over the next about, you know, 6 months or so. We had no plans of doing it this off, like this break. We didn't have time, we thought, but then some things changed. So now it's been an all out thrash. We got the engine, and in a matter of a couple weeks, well, not even a couple weeks, in a matter of like 2 weeks, they got it mounted, kind of redesigned a bunch of stuff. Now we're finishing up a lot, but yeah, I'll show you just kind of Ford Megazilla. If you don't know it, it's their new 7.3 crate engine. So literally came in a crate. 612 horsepower, but what I love about it, especially I think it's gonna be epic in here, 670 foot-pounds of torque. So this truck is very heavy, very, very, very heavy, so torque is key. And a lot of times we're just kind of cruising, so having that torque, it's naturally aspirated, so no, you don't have turbo lag or anything like that, but pretty cool. As you can see, we pulled the old engine out, which was much different than this, and it was not an easy slip in, I'll tell you that, but we got it in there. Had to figure out things, change some things, whole 9 yards, you know. Trophy truck, or I mean, these luxury pre-runners, like, they're weird. It's not like your typical engine bay where you can kind of just open it up. They try to push the motor as far back for weight and balance, but then we have a cab, so that runs into issues. As you can see, they broke my windshield. A little pissed, but luckily we got a good windshield guy, my boy Jeffrey. I think this will be like his 5th one on this thing, and I've owned this thing for like 7 months. Not good on windshields, but you can see, so now they're starting to do some plumbing and, you know, fuel line, stuff like that, figuring out how we're gonna put a Canon intake on it to like air. And then in the meantime to that, we're also doing our standard prep. So they pulled all the arms off, inspected them, all of that. But then I figured I'd show you guys a little bit of some of the stuff I requested. So we bought this truck used, so there's a lot of little things we've been changing. So kind of show you one big thing. If you watched our last pre-run vlogs, we were having a lot of fuel issues with the overheating. The fuel, like we had fuel boiling in the back. Ben can clip to that. Literally you open the gas cap and it's boiling gas. All right, just to show the people, this is after 5 minutes of sitting. You can still see full tank of gas boiling. Just my luck, baby. Super safe. A lot of that had to do with the way fuel lines were routed. We were already planning on changing that, but now we're putting a whole new engine in. We're able to do all that very easily. So basically, all up front as far as that stuff is getting redesigned. We're trying to fix some of the cooling. The old engine in this was supercharged. So superchargers create a lot of heat, especially the hood and stuff is very trapped in here. So I think we're gonna fix a lot of our heat issues just with that, this being a naturally aspirated engine. But yeah, so I'm trying to think of show you guys some of the requests. We can dive inside and I'll show you some of the things they're working on. All right, so one of the #1 things I hated about this truck was the brake pedal. So the old brake pedal was right here. I think it just happened to be the way it designed. Like I said, these trucks, we're taking a F-150 cab, scabbing it onto like a chassis. So there's a lot of just, things, don't go perfect. So little things now that I've driven this truck a lot, things that I hated. So literally, gas pedal was here, brake pedal was here. So by the end of the day, my left knee was just, Ben can contest, I would get out after pre-run and just be, as Ben would say, I'd just be bitching and nagging and see, he knows it's true. No, so the guys redesigned the whole new brake pedal, and it's still not perfect because we have such clearance issues with the firewall being moved back for all the suspension and stuff, but it's way better, way closer. I'm very excited. It's like the little things people don't realize, that makes me really excited. Just another thing I really hated, which I know sounds so dumb, but the paddle shifters. So if you listen, or I'll put it next to my mic, there's no click. There's no defined, when you shifted, these things, I don't know, these were some cheaper paddles. And that just really, I don't know, it's in the race car, every other race car, and every other paddle, it's like a tick, tick, and you feel, it's got feedback. This didn't, and it was just it was weird to shift. It didn't feel like you're actually shifting. If there was any delay in the shift, all of a sudden you'd be like, oh, did it actually engage? And we're having a lot of electronic issues with these paddles. So now we're switching to, I have one, This is out of one of our old race cars, but this is basically what we're going to. It's not fitted yet, but you hear that? That's like and you can feel it in your hand. So putting a new MPI steering wheel in, and then some little things, man. Like us drivers, we're so picky, but we're spending 12, 14 hours a day in a vehicle. Little things start to eat at you. So those were some big things that I personally requested. But as you can see, we have the whole dash out. So there's a whole center console. One thing we're adding, it didn't have cup holders, which I know sounds dumb, like you don't need cup holders but you really do. It's so annoying, like in the morning, especially my coffee. I love my coffee. And a lot of the times in the morning, like the first 30 minutes, we're commuting on the highway. Especially if we're leaving Ensenada, it's an hour on the highway. And not like I'm trying to hold my coffee, then paddle shift, and then this, I mean, they are like race cars in a point. So all of a sudden I'm running people off the road, Ben's screaming in the back, Mike Kim's like looking up from his phone, like, what are you doing? I'm like, dude, you drive this damn thing and drink coffee. So now I have a cup holder, but it's the little things. And they're pretty cool, actually. I'll show you the cup holders now. So my boy Jesse, he went over the top. We didn't want to stay, a lot of times with like the big ones, they're kind of sloppy and whatever. So he 3D printed them to kind of fit certain style water bottles, and they taper so they're gonna hold in. So yeah, kind of cool little things that we've been building. Now with Jesse helping us, he's been 3D printing all kinds of different mounts and little stuff like that just makes my life better. A lot of times they don't make a perfect solution for this. You can go buy like a classic car, but it's not the same, Like it's designed for on-street use. This is designed for off-road. So yeah, and then we're rearranging part of the center console and stuff. Where's the center console? Just to show you. This is our center console. So cup holder, and then I think we're gonna remount this, and then we're actually pulling this shifter out. So right now it had paddles and this. We're pulling this whole system out. For me, I felt I was like creating bad habits because I was using this here and there. But the thing is, in a race truck, we don't have this, so I just don't want to I want to get rid of it, especially if I have my good paddle shifters. So getting rid of that, and I don't know, I can't remember if we're mounting anything here, but not doing any mounts there yet, but just gonna put a plate and for future. Right now, especially with the engine, we had basically, before we were not doing the engine, I was just redesigning the whole cab because that's how I am. But now that we're doing the engine, we've had to postpone a lot of other things we're working on. But back to in here, some other things we're changing, fixing. Right here, there's some carbon pieces that go here. They leak a ton. As you can see, everything's really dusty around here. So kind of fixing that, putting a lot of sound dampening and heat stuff. These shocks create a large amount of heat, so create a ton of heat. So for whoever's in the back seat, literally if you leave something on the back, you could cook eggs in the back realistically. It's crazy how hot it gets, even AC full blasting, and you'll be cool inside, but then you put your foot on the floor and you're like, whoa, or your hand on the floor. So trying to add a lot of insulation and stuff just to kind of quiet the truck down, and then also get some of the heat dissipating out versus in. So that's one thing. And this, we're trying to seal better. One simple thing, we're super storage, as you can see, I just have junk kind of piled everywhere. So eventually I want to redo this whole door, but that's another project. So for right now, we're pulling this whole plastic assembly off, remounting because the windows actually work. It's not connected right now, but the windows work, everything. So remounting all the essential components, and then we got some custom door bags coming where tons of extra storage, door, and just simple things like that we can put supplies, whatnot in there. Get rid of just stuff floating around in the truck, like our first aid kits and stuff. We can fill this whole door with first aid stuff if we wanted. So little simple things like that just make it's like your work truck if you're work as a handyman or a plumber, you have all the essentials, you buy Milwaukee pack outs or whatever. We're doing that with my work truck. Just a little different and a lot more abuse. And then just under here, we're adding more insulation, little simple things like that, fixing door seals, just the basics to make our lives a little better. One thing, we don't have it in place yet, but one of Ben's requests, Ben is the filmer if you don't know, we're mounting a little cameo. Ben's all, It just cuts to like a sick edit of you, like that's what it should be. You shooting. Last night we shot full auto machine guns with our boy Dodge and Luke at Ready Gunner. Super sick. Just Ben just.
Yeah, slow-mo.
We're off track. We're off track. But basically, Ben's always riding in the back seat, and
I'm the egg.
yeah, Ben's literally getting roasted. He gets out. Me and Mike Kim get out, and we're like, oh yeah. And Ben's like drenched in sweat, and he's like, and we're like, you good, man? He's like, it's so hot. Stop being a loser. So we're mounting, but one thing, he always has the camera. Crazy enough, I guess I pay him to film me, but he's always holding it, or he puts it in a bag, it's bouncing around. So we're actually taking a tripod head and mounting it in the back. Once we get farther along, I'll show you guys that. But it's kind of, we're trying to think of every little thing. So we're not constantly, we hit a big G out and Ben's camera comes flying at Mike Kim and stuff like that. So it's the little things, it's the details, but we can Ben jump to the other side and I'll show them. So over here, as you can see, lots pulling apart, but like this is our AC unit, all our kind of PDMs and stuff shoved in the dash. Like I said, bought it used, so we're changing a lot of things. So one of the things I'm doing is I only need one. It had 2 PCI like Kenwood radios in it. Now we run satellite radios. We have Starlink on the roof. We're slowly going away from these VHFs. So took one of those out, put a new Kenwood in, and then our boy Jesse designed this. So one thing, like I have my Lowrance here, which is really good, but it's just raw kind of, it's just a raw chart plotter. It's a line on a blank screen basically. And so we put our notes and stuff on them, which is very good for that because it's very kind of like a robust system. It works, it doesn't fail, it's fast. But for pre-running and stuff, for me, I could kind of, if I'm getting lost, it's so I wanted an iPad, but I do like to have this because when we're running faster, I can look at notes and see how Mike Kim has them. But so I wanted an iPad, so our solution is for right now, this, adding this with 2 RAM mounts, USB-C chargers, and then we're gonna put in a big arm, and I'm gonna have an iPad right here. And then if Mike Kim wants an iPad, we're gonna mount it right here. Because realistically, once all this stuff's programmed, you don't really need to touch it unless, and we can move the iPad. So this is like a switch for our satellite radio to our regular radio, and then this is our intercom. So trying to fill all the voids with productive stuff. As you can see, lots of changing, and just fixing the little things. We just found out like this side of the truck was always pretty hot. We didn't know why. Well, it didn't have any tubes duct to the AC vents, so that's why the AC vents didn't work. Just little things like that. Yeah, that's kind of all inside the cab that we're doing right now, which will continue to update you, but it's the little things. Little things. Oh, now I still got a boot on, still have a broken leg, so it's a little complicated doing some jungle gymming. A couple more little things we're working on in this thing. All new Borla exhaust is coming. Well, I think we're gonna drop it off at Borla, actually, have them do it kind of how we did the all-wheel drive, which they killed it on. So I'm hoping we can do some cool stuff. Kind of, as always, actually this truck's not too loud, so, but quiet it down and to give it more of that, like we did in the all-wheel drive, like, it's quieter, but it's also like a better sound. So for me, shifting and stuff like that, and then also it sounds good. Especially, I mean, you got to remember, pre-runners, half the thing they're here for is looks. So when I pull up next to the guy at the stoplight and it's not, I can, boom. But yeah, all the shocks and stuff, the rear shocks are still getting serviced, stuff like that. Before this, the batteries were mounted inside the cab, like all wonky. We did this last pre-run, but moved some Optima batteries on the back. They're the same ones as the all-wheel drive trophy truck. We tried to do a lot of, as many parts as we can, the same on this as the all-wheel drive, because this is always in Mexico. And we have a lot of all-wheel drive spares, so then we have spares for this. But then if something happens on the all-wheel drive, we can steal it off this even on race day if we had to. So simple things like that. And then like moved our fuel filters and stuff just to try to make it all accessible, because we're always servicing this thing at night because we're putting so many miles on it, and this thing had a lot, like the fuel filters were up tucked under. To try to get to them was a 30-minute ordeal. Now pull the spare tires, check, all right, yeah, that's not our issue, or yeah, let's clean them out for the night. So yeah, that's kind of, as you can see, a lot of chaos going on here. It doesn't seem like it, but there's a lot of moving parts going because we're limited on time. Baja 400's, I think, a little over a month away. This goes pre-running if we do get it done in pre-running. The main event we're trying to get it to is there's a Raptor event in Utah with Ford. It's gonna be super cool. It's on what, September 21st. It's gonna be sweet. Like me, Yvonne, getting a bunch of cool people giving ride-alongs in this. Whole 9 yards. So yeah, literally if you want to ride along, it's going to be pretty rad. Yeah, so check that event out. But that's what our main goal is, to get this done for. So we'll see. But then besides that, just kind of our standard prep. Should think what else. And then yeah, besides that, that's kind of the prep side of things. I just want to show you. If you have any questions about this, or if you have any ideas, I'll happily hear them. Like I said, we're trying to make it cool. I've been like ordering little mounts off Amazon. We're trying to make everything. So it's just, you get in and it's just perfecto. But yeah, that's a wrap. You know where to find it. We'll be dropping some more updates on the Megazilla. I can confidently say I think this is the first Megazilla swapped pre-runner. So we'll see you next week. Like, subscribe, and that's a wrap.